If you look around social media, you will see dozens of accountants and tax strategists who are out here giving free advice. Some of it's really good, some of it not so good. Regardless, I think it's completely irresponsible for you to have that information and not understand how you can actually use it to improve your financial situation. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that I use to help clients save hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. But before we get into the framework, I want to just share a little bit about my story and how I even came to this solution, because I think that that's important. So I have been in the tax industry for well over 15 years. And one of the things that I found really, really frustrating was that I just wasn't able to provide my clients with the level of service that I wanted. I would offer them to review their tax returns and I would find errors, or I would make changes, or I would offer a strategy, but it was kind of disjointed and it didn't really help them. And so because of that, I felt super overwhelmed because I just wasn't making the impact that I wanted to. That was until I realized that I was simply doing the exact framework that I'm about to share with you, but I was doing it out of order. And because of that, I was not able to serve my clients to the best of my ability. So this video isn't just for people who may be interested in offering tax advisory for their clients. This framework is exactly how I work with clients. And for you, if you want to actually implement some of the strategies that you see online for yourself, this is the process that I would recommend that you follow. So we follow a framework that I call KEEP, K-E-E-P. And we'll go through and break down each of these letters one by one so that you can understand the process. So the first step to making sure that you have a rock solid tax plan is knowing the past. This is the K in our KEEP framework, and it stands for knowing ground zero. Let me explain. What that means is when I'm working with clients, I'm looking at the last 2 years of tax returns. And what I'm looking for when I'm reviewing those returns is I'm looking for errors, potential strategies that have been missed. I'm looking for opportunities, and I'm going to use that as a foundation that I am going to build our tax plan on. Now, again, we're several steps away from actually building the tax plan, but we do have to know where we started. The other thing that we also want to make sure that we're clear on is how much did we pay in taxes previously, because that is going to be the benchmark to say whether or not a strategy is working. And let me explain to you why this is so important. So I recently spoke with somebody who was not a client, but was a friend of my parents, and they are a real estate investor. They recently retired from their full-time job, got an excellent severance, and has been working on doing several fix and flips for his real estate portfolio. And so I was talking to him about, there are provisions in the tax code for you to be able to take advantage of as a real estate professional. Are you doing that? And he said, oh, I didn't know that. Can you tell me a little bit more? And so I started to break down exactly what that meant and how that could potentially be a benefit for him. He immediately went and called his CPA. Again, he's not my client. This is just a family friend. But here's the key. There are now opportunities that were unlocked based on our conversation that his accountant is now going to go back and review the past couple years of returns to see if anything had been missed. And given the fact that it was a big year for him, there's likely some tax savings that he could have taken advantage of but missed, and now is going to get the opportunity to take advantage of. This is why before we even jump into implementing any strategies, we've got to go back and make sure we understand where we're starting from. So I want to move to the next letter in our framework, which is E, and that stands for eliminate overages. Did you know that over 70% of people who filed their taxes last year actually received a refund? So that means more likely than not, if you filed your returns last year, you overpaid. And so when we get to the eliminate overages stage in our KEEP framework, what we're trying to do is identify the strategies that we can implement to get our tax bill as close to zero. Our intention is not to try and defraud anyone, or we're not trying to put money away and hide it from the IRS. We are simply just trying to use the tax code to our advantage. And if we have missed opportunities, we want to take advantage of them. The next letter in our framework is E. And at this point, we are now getting to the plan. So we understand and we know our ground zero. Number 2, we have eliminate eliminated overages by selecting strategies that actually make sense for us. And number 3 is E, execute the plan. Now we are going to take that information and put the plan in place. Now, before you go ahead and say, all right, I've looked at last year, I know what strategies make sense for me, and I'm going to go execute. I do want to remind you that we don't set it and forget it. We have to continually monitor to make sure that the decisions that we made make sense going forward. And the last letter in our framework is P. This is protect and reinvest. A lot of times I find that people misconstrue the importance of tax strategy and tax planning, because it's not just about paying as little as possible. The real goal of tax planning is to save money so that we can now reinvest it and use that money to make more money. And so if you have a knowledge of your ground zero, you have eliminated overages, you've executed the plan, but you missed the P, you are missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this really critical step. So this is exactly what I tell my clients. We're not just trying to save money for next year. We're trying to save money and position you and your family for the next 100 years. If you found this video helpful, then I highly recommend that you watch this one.